Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnès and I make videos for fun. Today we're listening to a song from the French stage musical Notre Dame de Paris, The Hunchpack of Notre Dame. Did I say that in French or English? The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The title of the song is Le temps des cathédrales and it is performed by French-Canadian artist Bruno Pelletier, who has an amazing voice and a very good ear. I used to sing in college in a women's choir that was by audition only. So while I am not a professional musician by any stretch of the imagination, I can fully appreciate when a song is hard to sing, and that's one of them. It's got a wide range, challenging chromatic ascents, and a cappella change of keys. It's beautiful and thrilling to listen to. As a bit of background, this musical was written in the mid to late 90s, and it is based on the 1831 French novel by Victor Hugo. It is said to take place in the year 1482. The lyrics in the musical are not from the original novel, but rather a 20th century spin on what the protagonist might have felt. There are some parallels between the Paris of 1482 and the Paris of the late 20th century. The backdrop of the novel is that of an influx of refugees who live in La Cour des Miracles, the ghetto. They're not Catholics, and they survive via crime and non-Christian activities. One of them is Esmeralda, who she doesn't do any crimes, but she does dance provocatively to make a living. France has continued to see an influx of war and economic refugees throughout its history. Post-World War II, it was the Portuguese who were fleeing an authoritarian regime and poverty. Starting in the 1980s, it was a large and continuing influx from North Africa that created a lot of tension in French society. This is apparent in this song and even more in another song from the musical Les Sans-Papiers, the Undocumented. That was a long introduction. Let's get to the song. I will not be translating the song in this video word for word, that is in the description. The character here is Gringoire, a poet. As such, he's dirt poor, and via a series of events, he ends up in La Cour des Miracles with Esmeralda. In the book, he plays both the role of a narrator, but he's also a protagonist. In the first stanza, he sets up the stage. Paris, 1482, in the grip of the Catholic Church. This is going to be a story about love and desire. Artists, poets, and sculptors will immortalize it for us.
C'est une histoire qui a pour lieu Paris la belle en l'an de Dieu 1482. Histoire d'amour et de désir. Nous les artistes anonymes de la sculpture ou de la rime tenterons de vous la transcrire pour les siècles à venir.
Sadly, as you know, the Notre Dame Cathedral burned in 2019. I still remember where I was and what I was doing when I found out. I had just gotten back from a trip in April of that year, and I had set up my tablet in my kitchen and I was washing my dishes when the image of the burning cathedral came on. That weekend I talked to my mom, who lived in France, and she said something that struck me. She said, 800 years of history erased, just like that. What a waste. My husband and I went through Paris a couple years ago, and I had to go see Notre Dame. The stone structure is still standing, and there's a massive restoration effort that's underway that will not end in my lifetime. But I reminisce. Back to the song.
Il est venu le temps des cathédrales.
try singing that. This is the refrain, and it will keep on coming back in higher and higher keys. Normally, refrains repeat, but there can be variations, as there is in this song. The title of the song comes from the refrain. Il est venu le temps des cathédrales. The era of the cathedrals is upon us. That was entirely true of 1482, when the Catholic Church was powerful. With the cathedral, mankind wanted to reach the stars and write its history in glass and stone. In the second stanza, Gringoire talks about how long it took to build Notre Dame. I looked it up, and it was built, most of the cathedral was built between 1163 and 1345. Almost 200 years. Can you imagine? Then he comes back to the artists, the poets, and the street musicians, the troubadours in medieval France, who sang love songs and promises of a better tomorrow.
Pierre après pierre, jour après jour, de siècle en siècle avec amour, il a vu s'élever les tours qu'il avait bâties de ses mains. Les poètes et les troubadours ont chanté des chansons d'amour qui promettaient tout genre humain de meilleurs lendemains.
In this song, there's more of the refrain than there are stanzas, so that was the last stanza. The song ends with 3 iterations of the refrain. The first 2 repeat the text of the first refrain, and in between those 2, there's an a cappella change of key.
Il est venu le temps des cathédrales, le monde est entré dans un nouveau millénaire. L'homme a voulu monter vers les étoiles, écrire son histoire dans le verre ou dans la pierre. Il est venu le temps des cathédrales, le monde est entré dans un nouveau millénaire. L'homme a voulu monter vers les étoiles, écrire son histoire dans le verre ou dans la pierre.
The song talks about the dawn of the new millennial, which in 1482 would have occurred centuries prior. And then there's another change of key, this time aided by a chord on the electric guitar, and the refrain comes back with a changed text that's rather doomsday-ish. The first sentence uses some vulgar French that I'm kind of surprised to find in a PG-13 musical. The exact translation in English would be, the era of the cathedrals is effed. There's a crowd of barbarians at the city's gates. Let them in, the end of the world is coming in year 2000. There was real angst about that at the end of the 1990s, mostly related to computer clocks.
Il est foutu le temps des cathédrales, la foule de barbares est aux portes de la ville. Laissez entrer ces païens, ces vandales. La fin de ce monde est prévue pour l'an 2000. Est prévue pour l'an 2000.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.